You're listening to What the Folklore, making sense of senseless tales.
Happily ever after. Tra-la-di-di-hi-di-ho, the princess, she walked happily home. Tra-la-di-di-hi-di-ho, she lived happily ever after.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to What the Folklore, making sense of senseless tales. I am your reader, Carmen.
Tyler?
Same that I was last week.
Yeah, you shouldn't be listening to this one if you didn't listen to last week's episode.
Don't start on part 2.
Yeah, don't. That's dumb.
It's clearly labeled.
Probably. We probably remembered to do that.
Might be in cipher. But this is part 2. This is side B. Turn the podcast over to side A.
Did you listen to chapters 1 through 3? If you answer this question no, turn this fucking thing off. And go back a week.
Go back in time a week, listen to the first 3 chapters, or you're going to be... Oh, it doesn't matter, actually.
Yeah, in the grand scheme.
You'll have about the same amount of information that we do.
In the grand scheme, it's a podcast. Listen to it whenever you want to.
There's a possibility that it'll make more sense without hearing the first 3 chapters.
Not much of one.
Well, I tried. Tried to help
I mean,
you.
you'll probably get the gist of what's happening, and without the other chapters to sort of muddle things as they have, you might actually get a more concise story listening to it this way.
That's fair. That might happen, maybe.
That was what I meant.
None of it's going to make sense, though, so
Right.
Don't get your hopes up.
What are we doing?
Well, today we are finishing up Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen, inspiration for Frozen. So far, not a lot of parallels.
Why are we doing it?
What?
Why are we doing that?
What are we doing here
just because it's chilly out?
In a larger context?
I mean, yeah.
Why this story now?
It's cold outside, baby.
Why a story at all? Really?
Is that how that song is categorized?
Yeah.
Is that on Frozen?
It's cold outside, comma, baby.
Yeah.
That was on Frozen 2, right?
Yeah.
They share a common root.
Frozen 2, 10 below.
Yeah, but we're gonna finish up a weird fairy tale, which is what we do every week. Sometimes we start them. We usually start and finish them in the same episode.
Yeah, so we're a lot more efficient in other stories.
But that's what we're doing because there's a lot of super bizarre fairy tales and literature out there, and we want to answer the questions: why were they written down? Why does anybody care? Why are we still talking about them?
And for your own personal amusement, this is the first time that Tyler and Gordy have heard this tale, so all of their reactions are...
Genuine.
Yep. 100%.
Is Michael Keaton Olaf's dad?
In Frozen?
Yeah.
I think so, right?
Is he the dad of all snowmen?
I believe so.
Because there's that movie where he was a dad and a snowman.
That was written into his contract for that movie. He said, any spin-offs, he gets a cut of. Like, right. He has to be in it. And so to fulfill Michael Keaton's contract, he has to be Olaf's dad.
He just really wanted to be seen as his true self, finally.
Yeah. A dad snowman.
On the big screen. That's who he is deep down, and he was finally able to speak his truth.
Half dad, half snowman.
That's what Birdman's about.
All Keaton.
Finding your inner snow dad truth.
Alright. If you want information on this story, go listen to the last episode. Let's go. Let's start part 2. Let's get deep into some Andersen meat.
Ugh.
Just deep in there, squish it around
no.
a bit.
No. Do not consent. Do not consent. I'm cutting all this out.
Do we need to summarize what happened?
Listen to the first episode.
There's 2 kids. One of them's missing. He has 2 shards in him. They're bad.
Demon mirror shards that make people evil.
One's in his heart. It's turning it to ice.
Yeah, kidnapped by Snow Queen. Girl is looking for him, has been briefly waylaid by...
a garden.
Yeah.
An eternal summer garden.
And a magic lady who's not a witch. She just witches on the side.
Part-time.
Yeah. So she's escaped the garden, and now we enter story the 4th. Gerda.
Did you hear it?
I did hear it. in the distance. It's okay.
Keep going.
Gerda had to rest, and as she did so, she saw a crow hopping along the snow to her. The crow looks at her for a while and then says, "Gaw! Gaw! Good day, good day!" trying to be clear in pronunciation because it meant to be nice to her.
Crows get a bad rap
They do.
because they sound raspy and crazy.
But really, they're just
trying to be nice.
kindly and attempting to help you. The crow asked her how she'd come to be there all alone, and she tells the crow her whole life story. And then
She needs to summarize.
she needs to print out cards.
Or just, like, elevator pitch. Like, what are the pertinent details right now?
Friend's gone, don't know where,
I don't need
know
to.
how.
I don't need to hear about your third birthday where your friend like went to the bowling alley with you. Just tell me that your friend's missing.
I just need you to understand how important he is to me. And that time he helped me throw the ball and get a strike.
Lady, I'm already tired of helping you, and we haven't even started yet.
And then let me tell you about the roses.
I'm just gonna tune you out.
So she asked the crow if he'd seen Kay, and the crow says he might have. And then she nearly hugs him to death. She grabs the crow and squeezes, which is not good for crows.
No.
They got little bird bones.
Or most, yeah, they have hollow bones.
The crow says, "Gently, gently." I think I've seen Kay, but by this time he would have forgotten you for the princess.
Wait,
Also, can you describe him?
wait, who's a princess?
The snow one.
So Gerda begs him to tell her about where Kay might be, and the crow says, "I'll tell you the whole story, but it's very hard to speak your language. Can you speak crow? Because I can explain
That
it.
would be a lot easier for me.
I can explain it way better in my own tongue." Gerda apologizes, and she says her grandmother could speak it, and used to speak it to her, and she wished that she had learned it, but she hadn't.
Boy, grandma's...
This is a different grandma.
Oh, that's
Okay.
Kay's grandma
Kay's
that
grandma
saw
was
the bees.
Her
I
grandma
thought that this was just the continuation
So they are.
of grandma's mad adventure.
So it is semi-literally the birds and the bees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're-
Gerda's grandma is Bird Woman.
We're gonna put a flag in that and come back to it because that's a really weird thing to just reveal like this.
Just sidebar for a moment. The crow says, "All right then, I'll do the best I can in your language, but it will be badly done. Just so you know."
That's a fair disclaimer.
No speak the English.
Now is the part that I've been most excited to tell you.
Because it's written in Croglish.
No. Although I can
Kronglish.
make it obnoxious and try to speak in a croaky voice.
That'll be fun
that'll
for
be
the
great to
listeners.
listen to.
In this kingdom is a princess who is so clever. She has read all the newspapers in the world and forgotten them all too.
Guess it's not this princess though.
Though she is clever. So a little while ago she started to wonder, why shouldn't I be married? She decided she'd marry someone who knew how to speak when spoken to.
Mm-hmm.
Not just someone who looked nice, because that would get boring quickly. I happen to know this because I have a tame sweetheart in the palace who told me everything.
Is it also a crow or is it a human?
Now, the sweetheart is a crow, and does specify this because birds of a feather flock together, so of course a crow would choose a crow.
Of course.
The crow continues the story.
No interracial marriage.
Newspapers were sent out immediately with a heart border and the initials of the princess, asking for handsome men to come speak with her, and she'll take as a husband the one who speaks the best.
Is this a crossover?
People came in droves, and none succeeded on the first or second day.
There's a very uncomfortable buzzing feeling happening in the back of my skull. Like an unwanted thought is trying to push its way into my cortex.
They could all speak well outside on the street,
Mm-hmm.
but once inside the palace, all the guards and the lights flustered them, and when they stood in front of the princess, they could do no more than repeat the last words she'd said.
Okay.
On the third day,
A man threw diarrhea in another man's face.
The boy Kay marched through without horse or carriage. He had long hair and bright eyes, but poor clothes, and a knapsack on his back.
K? But his name was something else.
Well, he got a name.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was the title character.
Oh, Hans, yeah. Gerda says the knapsack must have been his sleigh, because that's what he left with, and the crow says,
What?
Maybe, I
No,
don't.
what?
The knapsack that he was carrying. Gerda says that had to have been his sleigh, because that's what he left with.
His sleigh?
Yeah, the one he left and
The
tied.
one that he tied.
Like a sled?
Yeah.
Was a knapsack?
The crow saw a knapsack.
The crow says there's a knapsack. She's like, nah, that can't be. He only had a sled.
Okay, that
So
makes
it's
more sense.
Gotta be the sleigh. The crow says, well, maybe. I didn't look at it that closely. Now I have it from my sweetheart that though the rooms were blazing with light and his boots creaked as he walked, he didn't get flustered like the rest. Gerda said, this has to be him. He had new boots and they creaked. I heard them.
This was like years ago, though.
Crow continues describing the scene and said that if he had not been a crow, he would have married the princess himself, even though he's currently engaged to the other crow. Said the boy spoke well, and that he had not come to woo her, but to hear her wisdom, and both were very impressed with each other.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah, I remember that part. Where they talk gibberish to each other.
They didn't get married?
She said, this has to be Kay. He's very clever and knows a lot of arithmetic.
He spat out the multiplication tables.
That boy knows the most math I've ever seen.
She asks if she could be taken to the palace to see him, and the crow says, it's going to be difficult, but I'll talk to my sweetheart about it, and he flies off to do so. Comes back later that evening with a roll that his fiancée stole for the girl to eat, because the palace has plenty of them, and he takes her through the garden of the palace to go through the back entrance and sneak up to the prince and princess's bedroom.
Does she have any non sequiturs with any more friggin' flowers?
No, not currently. The tame crow leads her through the castle, and the fiancé, the wife crow, future wife crow, Gerda is frightened by the shadows of horses with ladies and men riding them flying past her on the walls. The tame crow assures her that these are just dreams, and it's good that they're here because it'll make it easier for them to sneak through the palace.
Dreams?
Yeah, these shadows of horseback riders
Are just people dreaming?
they're dreams heading to people.
Gotcha.
And so while people are dreaming, it's going to be easier for them to sneak through the palace because they are occupied by dreaming that they forgot their pants before they made an important speech
Before
to
they
the
did
other
arithmetic.
counselors. Yeah. So they find the prince and princess's bedchamber, and Gerda approaches the prince and calls out Kay's name, and she sees his neck, and it looks just like Kay.
So we do have our important math scene that took place. So we were right about
You're counting
that.
it?
Yeah.
When she calls his name, the dreams right out of his head, shadow horseback riders right out of his head, and he wakes up. The prince turned around, and it wasn't Kay at all.
Whoops.
Oops.
It's Hans.
Yep.
The dipshit.
The prince and princess wake.
Dumb-headed Hans, or whatever his name was.
They hear her entire life story, and they turn to offer the crows who helped her either freedom or a court position. To be elevated to the court crows, because
Yeah.
that's a position that they have for crows.
Sure.
So the tame sweetheart has been living in the palace, but apparently in a lower crow position.
Yeah.
So they both think about their advancing age and how it would be better for their retirement if they're in a position in the palace. So they accept that one, and they enjoy all the food that it involves. The prince then gives his bed to Gerda so she could rest for the night, and she starts crying about how everyone is so kind to her, and then goes to sleep. The next day, the prince and princess get her dressed in fancy clothes and offer to let her stay for a few days, but she just asked for some boots and a carriage, so they give her a carriage made of pure gold and give her coachmen wearing gold crowns, and she rides off with the company of the forest crow for a little while, who is now married.
Why does everyone always assume that because it's shiny and good-looking and gold, it's a good thing?
That you need to have? I don't know.
Like, I don't think that makes it better at traveling through snow. That it's made of gold.
That would probably make it worse if I
You'd
had to
think.
guess.
It's a little more pliable. It'll ding real easy. It's not going to look pretty for long.
No.
The forest crow is now married, and his fiancée, or now newlywed wife, had to stay home because she'd been suffering a headache ever since her promotion, probably from eating too much. So everyone cried as Gerda left, and after a few miles the crow had to go home, and this was the saddest parting of all.
The crow and Gerda?
Yeah.
Like sadder than Gerda and Kay?
Yeah.
Why
Why
do
does
we
she
care about Gerda
Yeah,
and
why
Kay?
didn't she just turn around and just go with the crow?
She has a new best friend. Stay there.
Let's be besties. I'll live in this castle with you. Okay, who?
Story done.
So that's the end of story number 4.
Uh-huh. There
Yeah.
it was again.
Yep.
You're not hearing that? I swear I heard it.
I did hear something. We'll see if it happens again.
Story the 5th.
There it goes.
Uncanny.
The coach rode through the forest, dazzling like a torch, because it's gold,
Okay.
and caught the attention of some robbers.
Oh, gold's passing us.
Because
Yeah.
it's gold.
Let's get that gold.
The robbers catch up to the coach, kill all the coachmen, steal their crowns, kidnap Gerda, steal the coach. An old robber woman comes up and comments that Gerda has been fed with good food because the coach was stuffed with like fancy food underneath all the seats.
Let's cut her open and get it.
What
Gerda's
old
been-
woman?
An
robber
old
woman?
Robber woman.
You know, I appreciate the good job that they just did. That was a very sensical little part.
Yeah.
They saw a gold thing rolling past. They're robbers.
That was a smooth
They-
operation.
They saw it for what it was, and they robbed her.
Consequences for stupid,
Yep, that
crazy
was-
prince and princess actions.
That was a good job, robbers.
Is this old woman like Fagin? Is she in charge of the robber boys?
Not necessarily. But she does comment that Gerda's been fed with good food and will taste delicious. And she pulls,
Gerda will.
Yes. And she pulls out a knife.
So they're cannibal robbers.
Man,
You gonna eat her?
you get meat where you can.
I guess. You have a lot of gold, though. You can get it for legal.
Yeah, but they didn't used to have a lot of gold, and once you taste human,
That's-
you just don't go back.
That's not what they're about, though. They're not about legal.
That's fair.
That's not why they got into
We're
this
not going to
business.
spend this gold. We just want to have it.
Who pulled the knife?
Old woman. So she pulls out the knife and approaches Gerda, but then she screams because her own daughter was biting her on the ear.
Just couldn't wait.
That's what happens if you have a cannibal baby.
The little robber girl lets go of her mother's ear, I guess, and declares that Gerda will be her playmate. And Gerda will give her her muff and her fancy dress, and will sleep in her own bed.
Mom, I have been trying to make a friend my whole life. You keep eating them. Not this one. This one's my butt.
Please, mother.
Please, mother, one friend.
One friend, mother.
One living friend. One alive girl.
You make a sweet little girl dumpling, but I just want a companion.
Tired of playing with Bones McGee.
So the girl was so willful and nasty that she forced her way into the coach with Gerda, and they drive off to Robberland.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're in the coach, she's telling her that she won't let any of them kill her so long as Gerda doesn't piss her off.
Fair.
Gerda does the only thing she knows how to do in a new social situation and tells her entire life story to this girl.
So she dies.
The girl listens to the story and says that she won't let any of them kill her, even if Gerda pisses her off, because she'll just do it herself.
After telling me that long, boring-ass story, I've decided I'm going to end you myself.
Your blood is mine.
Then she wipes it.
You are mine to kill for making me sit through that.
Then she wipes the tears off of Gerda's eyes and takes her muff.
Okay.
They get to the shitty robber castle, which is falling apart because
Because Robert.
robbers don't do home improvement. The robber girl tells Gerda that she can sleep with her animals, which largely consist of 100 pigeons. that are just roosting in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
She grabs one of the pigeons by the feet and shakes it till it flaps its wings and tells Gerda to kiss it.
Now kiss.
Why?
My playthings.
I mean, this is a fairly accurate representation of kid logic.
Yeah, I guess.
Look at this bird. Shake.
Now put your face on it. Put your mouth on it.
Come into my disease room.
Informs Gerda that these pigeons are trapped in here or they would fly away immediately. And then she introduces Gerda to her pet reindeer, Bae.
Yeah.
This is Bae.
Bae the Reindeer.
Bae has a copper collar and is tied to something because Bae would also run away immediately.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag.
She drags Bae out by the collar and tells Gerda that she likes to tickle its neck every night with her
With a knife.
with her sharp knife.
The pigeon?
The reindeer,
Oh, the rain. That's right.
which scares him.
This. It scares
me.
It scares the reindeer.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it scares the reindeer. What? How is she being? Well, she's being raised by robbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. By a cannibal robber woman.
Again.
This is a character I would have liked to have seen in Frozen.
I know.
Yeah.
This band of robbers.
I think Disney made some poor decisions.
I know. This is better than Olaf.
Okay.
Yeah,
they
sidekick.
They
It's
could
a
have.
knife-happy little girl.
Let's pause. That, or the weird rock trolls.
Yeah.
Yep.
Clean swap. Take the rock trolls out.
Robbers.
Put the cannibal robbers in. You don't have to change anything else.
That's fair.
The cannibal robbers sing a song about Anna marrying Kristoff.
Mm-hmm.
Or she's going
Or
to
she's
be
going to be
eaten alive.
tickled with a knife.
She demonstrates the knife tickling, which of course causes the reindeer to panic and buck around.
Just scream.
Then she laughs and pulls Gerda down to the bed with her.
Ooh. Oh boy.
Now it's your turn.
To get knife tickled.
Gerda asks if she sleeps with this knife. She says, yeah, of course.
As she clutches it.
Um,
Does it have a face drawn on it?
it's like her
Like an
dolly.
angry face?
This is the doll she grew up with.
Yeah.
Boo Boo doll.
Yeah.
Causes boo-boos. She says, of course, and then she makes Gerda tell her the K story again, and falls asleep while Gerda's telling the story, with one arm around Gerda's neck and the other around her knife.
Tell me that boring ass story again. It will help me go to sleep faster.
Well, I just doodle on you with this knife.
This is my favorite character in any story we've ever read.
This is
Even better than Cherry Man.
This character needs to meet Cherry Man and start a business with him.
Does she have a name?
She's just Robber Girl.
Robber Girl.
We have to find a name for her.
Robin. After she falls asleep, the wood pigeon coos to Gerda that it knows where Kay is. That it saw him and the Snow Queen ride past, and when they did, they blew cold air onto the nest where the wood pigeon had lived before being kidnapped, and killed everyone in the nest but him and one of the other wood pigeons here.
That's not very nice.
Nope. Said that the Snow Queen is most likely heading to Lapland, but to ask the reindeer about it, because that's his native land, so he'll know more.
Yeah.
He's not
It's
traumatized.
just in between tickle sessions.
Bae confirms that she had a...
Hashtag Bae confirms.
Team Bay.
the Snow Queen has a summer tent in Lapland, and a fortress in the North Pole at an island called Spitsbergen.
What? Say that again.
Spitsbergen.
Who has what?
Ice Queen Fortress. North Pole, Spitsbergen.
Ice Queen has a fortress there?
Yeah, the Snow Queen has a fortress in the North Pole, and a summer tent in Lapland.
Yeah.
So winter castle, ice tent, or summer tent.
Yeah.
I would rather have the palace in winter and the tent in summer than vice versa.
I mean, it's fair. She go to Burning Man in the summer or something?
We might. She probably has those off.
Freezing Man.
She has her own festival in the winter.
Yeah.
Nobody comes.
The next morning, Gerda told the robber girl what the pigeon had said, and the robber girl thinks about it and says, that's pretty cool. The men are all gone now, probably out robbing, and my mother's about to drink herself into a stupor, so after she does that, I'll help you out. Then she,
This is a good friend to have, all things considered.
Then she, goes and attacks her mom, play attacks her mom.
Play attacks with the play knife.
And her mom, bangs on her nose until it's red, but it's all done for love.
Yeah, that's what they say to each other.
And then
robbers.
Then her mom drinks herself into a stupor.
Mm-hmm.
Or noontime drinky times.
Yeah.
Does she share with her daughter?
No. She doesn't share. It's for
Probably
good wine.
It's probably against the robber code.
So, after mom is drunk, robber girl looses the reindeer and gives him to Gerda and tells him that he has to take her to Lapland. And the reindeer's like, yeah.
Whatever. I'll go anywhere.
Sure.
As long as it's not near that knife.
Sounds good. Robber girl gives Gerda back the fur boots that they'd stolen from her, but does insist on keeping the muff because it's just way too pretty for her to part with. But she does steal her mom's wool mittens instead. Yeah. So Gerda gets some cannibal robber lady's wool mittens and her own boots.
Yeah, this is a good friend to have. You just want to step lightly around her.
Robber girl puts her up on Bae's back, and Bae runs off toward Lapland.
All too willingly.
So that is the end of story 5. Now, story 6.
There it was.
Yeah.
We need to, is there a door open or a window? Where's that coming from?
I think it's the heat. Let's turn that off real quick.
That's the heat kicking on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonder how much that would cost. Get that and get some Seinfeld bass riffs. Move from room
for
to
the
room.
AC.
Yeah.
So they get to Lapland, I guess, and they find a hut where they're going to go rest, and there's an old Lapland woman living in it. The reindeer tells both of their life stories, starting with his own because he feels it's more important. She listens to them and then offers them some shelter and some time to warm up, and they come in and she tells them that the Snow Queen has moved on to Finland, but she will write them a note on a dried fish because she doesn't have any paper. She has fish, so that's what she's got. She'll write the note on the fish, and they'll take this fish to a Finland woman she knows. So this is all done. They ride to Finland, and they find the Finland woman's hut. There's apparently only one woman in Lapland and one woman in Finland. They go inside, but the Finland woman keeps her hut so hot that she hardly wears any clothes and is just like a small, dirty, mostly naked woman inside a hut inside Finland.
Is it in a creepy way?
I don't think so. I think it's in an absent-minded heat hobo.
Gordy, in what way could a naked, dirty woman be creepy?
It's a good point, and I'm glad you brought it up. Let's list the ways. Let's make a chart.
Just a quick list.
Make a chart. All the ways a dirty, naked woman can be creepy. All the ways you would enjoy finding a dirty, naked woman inside of a tent. What's happening?
It's a hut.
Did you say tent?
The Snow Queen has a tent. We haven't seen it.
Oh, we're in a Finnish woman's hut.
What kind of hut?
A hot one.
Kentako? Pizza?
What's the hottest hut?
Probably pizza.
Okay, then that one. What's the hut that makes you want to take off your clothes and not bathe?
Jabba.
And not bathe?
Yeah.
Oh, I always feel like showering when I see Jabba. It's like that slime is going to come out of the TV.
So, because it's so hot, she helps Gerda loosen her furs and take off her boots and gloves, or else Gerda would probably pass out. And then she puts some ice on the reindeer's head to help cool him off.
That's nice.
She reads the dried fish note 3 times before adding the dried fish to the soup pot because she does not waste food. The reindeer then tells their stories and then tells the woman that she is so clever, he knows she can tie the winds of the world with a piece of twine. So apparently she is some kind of powerful witch lady.
Full-time? Part-time?
Full-time? Like the reindeer goes on to describe what happens when you untie each of the winds of the world from her twine, and it helps sailors or ruins things or whatever. And then asks if she could possibly give Gerda something as strong as 12 men to help overcome the Snow Queen.
Like 12 men.
Is that all it takes?
The Finland woman kind of laughs and says something as strong as 12 men will be of very little use.
That's what I would think. I kind of feel like Ice Sorceress, it's going to take more than 12 dudes.
Even if they're motivated.
Yeah, like even if they're, like a good team.
Totally simpatico.
Good dressers. They're on time.
Prompt.
They hold the door for you.
They work out.
All the things, like they take care of themselves.
They glisten.
They're just nice. And it's just nice to be around people that are nice like that for once.
What are you going
Even
on
that's
about?
not enough.
Even if they were like that good, I just don't think it's gonna do it.
Well, the Finland woman agrees with you, and she pulls down a skin.
She's been around the block a few times. She knows what's going on.
She pulls down a skin with symbols written on it, and
Magic.
reads that until
Dark
her
magic.
forehead starts sweating.
Sweaty magic.
Then she pulls the reindeer into a corner and whispers to him that Kay is with the Snow Queen, but while he's there he finds everything to his liking because the mirror shards are in his eye and heart, and they have to be taken out or he will never
Want to
leave her. She'll never be out of her power. The reindeer asks if she can give Gerda something to get them out, and the Finland woman says
Like
she
tweezers?
says she can't give Gerda anything that she doesn't already have. She's already really strong. Well, look at how every man and animal she's encountered has helped her out,
Yeah.
and she's made it this far with
Gerda?
with no skills and
Or-
no equipment.
No skills.
With just
No magic.
just a whine in her voice.
Her purity and innocence of heart are all the power she needs.
Okay, fine.
Here represented by tears and telling an entire life story over and over again. None of us can help her more than that.
I disagree.
She has
I think-
she has JRPG light magic in her heart.
Yeah, she has that anime willpower. She needs
She's got that anime willpower.
in her soul. I think she needs one robber's daughter to come with her.
Yeah, I
And
miss
that
her
should
already.
that should be enough.
The Finland woman puts Gerda back on the reindeer. Tells the reindeer to fly as fast as he can and come back as fast as he can, and then sends him off. Gerda forgets her boots and her mittens, but the reindeer does not dare waste any time to go back and fetch them, so she's just gonna have to deal.
I feel like that might be important because it's pointed out there.
Do you think she says "fly, you fools" before she does it?
And then slaps the
Slaps
reindeer
the
on
reindeer.
the ass.
Just whips it in the butt.
The reindeer rides until it gets to a garden with a bush that has some red berries on it that the Finland woman had told him was
That's
the
the
bus
marker.
Those are good. Eat those.
It's just a good place to dump a girl. So he sets Gerda down there and tearfully kisses her and then rides back as fast as he can to the Finland woman.
He's gonna live there from now on,
The reindeer's
and
not
not
going
with the
back.
robber.
Yeah. So Gerda continues on toward the North Pole, and the snowflakes are...
Bootless and gloveless,
Yep. The snowflakes are getting larger and taking on strange forms.
chicken-esque forms.
Well, some are like porcupines, and others are like two-headed serpents or small bristly bears.
One of them's a singing snowman.
She says the Lord's Prayer, and her breath becomes two small angels that start getting big. And she keeps praying, and the more she prays, the more angels come out of her breath until they all get large enough to protect her, and they're all carrying spears and helmets, and she gets a whole legion of them, and they attack the snowflakes. And then they warm her hands and feet.
Just rub on them.
I didn't know that you could do that.
If you're far enough north,
That's news to me.
and if you're pure and innocent and weepy enough, you can make breath angels.
You can make angels out of your mouth.
You can just vomit up some sweet fog angels to kill some snowflakes for you. So now we get to go see what Kay's been up to. And he's not thinking of Gerda at all, and has no idea that she could even possibly be outside.
She's a loser.
The end of story number 6. Story number 7.
Deafening.
It's getting louder and closer.
She gets to the palace, which is made of more than 100 rooms, all built from snowdrifts and ice and lit by the aurora. The rooms are all empty and vast and cold. There's not even the entertainment you would expect in such a place, like dancing bears or lady foxes drinking tea.
Entertainment.
Yeah, these are the specific things that it points out are not there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the things you would come to expect.
The things you want to see in a snow castle. Every room.
Is that just the name of a band? Lady Foxes Drinking Tea?
It's like a really mellow
Folk band?
Yeah. So all the rooms are just empty and cold.
It's a nice castle.
In the middle of the great hall was a frozen lake with the surface broken into 1,000 forms, each as perfect as the next. And in the middle of this lake, the Snow Queen would sit when she was home, which she is not right now. It was called, or she called it, the Mirror of Reason, and it was the best and only of its kind in the world. Who knows what it does? Kay is sitting in this room, and he is so blue from the cold that he's gone nearly black.
Is he gonna have to eat another mirror shard to counteract the other one? Okay. There's a Mirror of Reason, and there's a bad mirror. So clearly, he has to get the reason shards in him.
But the queen had kissed all his shiverings away, so he did not feel any of the cold. He was playing with some pieces of ice, getting them to form different words, but no matter how he wished it, he could not form the word eternity, which was the word the Snow Queen had said that if he could find, she'd give him freedom, the whole world, and a new pair of ice skates.
Top it all off. Cherry on that cake.
He's gonna need to get around somehow.
Get some blades, brother.
The Snow Queen was currently out on an errand to look at Vesuvius and Etna and make their burning mountaintops white, which would be good for them as well as for the grapes and lemons.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Are those in her jurisdiction?
She's about to conquer them with snow magic. She's the reason volcanoes go dormant. It's part of her ongoing war.
So that grapes are happy.
Yep. Her allies, the grapes.
We will get a sequel to the Grapes of Wrath finally.
The grapes of chill.
The Grapes of Mild Content.
She left Kay alone in the hall, and it was at the moment that she left that Gerda entered. So that was a lucky break for Gerda,
Yeah, good timing.
who no longer had to punch a Snow Queen in the face. Gerda sees Kay and grabs him around the neck, rejoicing at finding him. But he sat as if frozen, because frozen.
Mm-hmm.
So she started doing the thing she does second best, which is crying hot tears, which then fell on his breast and thawed his frozen heart and washed away the piece of glass.
Okay.
That was easy enough.
He looked at her.
Almost right. I was
You
almost
were pretty
right.
close.
It was fluid exchange that got it out. It's the wrong fluid from the wrong
orifice.
orifice.
That's what those are.
What?
Eyeballs.
Eyes?
Tear ducts.
Yeah.
Tear ducts are kind of an orifice.
No, they come straight from your eyeballs.
They just like pour out of the pupil.
It's eyeball sweat. That's what tears are.
You. He looked at her, and she told him that Rose him, that they had learned together, the boring one.
Mm-hmm.
And he burst into tears, which washed away the eyeglass.
He had okay.
So he's double good.
He's double good now.
He's double good, and that's why your eyes water when you get something in them.
And you hear it boring him.
To wash away the demon glass.
Gotta get that shit out. It's always floating around. They both laugh and weep for joy, and it was such a happy sight that even the ice pieces that Kay had been playing with danced around, and then they fell into the word eternity, which freed Kay from the Snow Queen. No word yet on the sweet skates that she promised him.
Or the world?
Or the world. Gerda kissed Kay all over, returning the warmth to him and unfreezing his...
So close!
I mean, interpret that how you will.
Gordy is on the edge of his seat right now.
So close.
And they left the palace of the ice hand in hand, speaking about their grandparents and the roses, the two most important things from home, because screw their parents.
Yeah.
They get to the bush with the red berries, and the reindeer is back. And he has brought along with him a lady reindeer, who's got udders full of milk, which they then drink.
Yeah.
Hey, I met her and talked her into coming with me to feed you children.
Suck on her reindeer boobs.
She said that sounded like a good night to her.
Reindeer Tinder is really weird.
Reindeer Tinder.
She was very into it.
Don't mess this up for me, guys. Just drink from her udders.
She's into it.
Like into it. You know what I mean? Narcissus will tell you. Narcissus will tell you all about it.
Like she's spread out, moaning while these children suck her breast milk out.
Gordy.
Alright,
Rated M for mature.
Fine.
So they then ride the two reindeer. They got to the home of the Lapland woman, who had made them new clothes and readied some sleighs for them. The reindeer rode with them to the boundaries of the country and then left them there. And then birds took up the reins and began to twitter, and out steps one of the horses that used to draw the golden carriage, being ridden by a young girl in a red cap wearing pistols at her side. It was the robber maiden
Yeah.
who decided that she was sick of her robber cannibal family.
So I killed them all.
And was going to just go out in the world and find her...
Shoot people.
Find her
Time
portion.
for a new reign of terror.
And she recognized Gerda, and the two of them had a joyful reunion. Gerda asks after the prince and princess, and the maiden says that they had gone off to a foreign country, so crazy Hans and his equally crazy princess
Had
lady
vacated the country.
are terrorizing some new country. She asks about the crow, but the crow is dead. And the tame crow is now a widow who wears a bit of black cloth around her leg.
What happened to him?
Just dead. Old age, I guess.
Well, I guess I'm happy he got married in the end for a little bit.
Yeah. She says that the tame raven mourns pitifully, but it's all stuff.
That's just bird stuff. I got pistols to shoot. Come on.
Don't worry about it.
And she makes Gerda tell her the story of how she retrieved Kay.
So I can take a nap.
And she tells Kay she doesn't see what about him is worth all this trouble, but she's glad that he came back anyway.
Then she shoots at his feet to make him dance a bit.
The robber maiden promises to pay them a visit if she ever happens on their town. A robin visit, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
And then she rides...
That's the courteous way of saying it.
Right.
If I ever come to your town to steal stuff, I'll say hey.
And steal your shit. And then she rides off. Gerda and Kay continue walking until they find their town. They find the door to, I think, his grandmother's room. At this point, the story just gets kind of confusing, and I think the grandmothers become the same person. 'Cause, I don't know.
They do the fusion dance.
Yeah.
But when they pass through the door, they find that they've both grown into a man and a woman.
The kids did.
Yeah, Kay and Gerda are now a man and a woman.
Why is this
Because Hans was like, well, I have to have them get married at the end. Oh shit, I made them kids at the beginning.
You can't do that.
Oh, magic.
They sat in the chairs that they'd occupied as children, and their grandmother reads them a Bible passage, which was, "Except ye become as little children, ye shall in no wise enter the kingdom of God." And they looked at each other's eyes after hearing this, recognized the meaning of that rose hymn, which...
The boring one.
Yeah, I don't know. And then they sat up... They sat as grown-ups, but still children at heart, and it was summer, glorious summer. The end.
So they sat in chairs
Yeah.
across from each other
Uh-huh.
after doing all this magic stuff.
As a man and a woman, but still children at heart. Because they just
They
got
got
bigged.
Tom Hanks.
They got bigged, and they didn't actually mature into adults. They just lost several years of fun playtime and lifespan.
And that makes, what's her name, the Zoltan machine?
The Snow Queen?
Yeah. Maybe?
I guess. You guys ready to discuss this nonsense?
Yeah.
Might as well. Right?
Okay, so we have a pretty clear crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Hans Lunkhead Man.
Like, almost word for word, and any discrepancies being explained away by the raven, or the crow, clearly stating, I'm not going to do a good job of telling the story in your language.
That's a nice conceit to build in, at least.
So we have, I think, a fairly clear and direct connection here.
Yeah.
Between the stories.
Yeah.
Sure seems like it, but
And
why?
we have a timeline
Yeah.
also.
This happened fairly shortly after that.
This story?
Yeah.
Yeah. But why is there a crossover? I mean, they're from the same country, right? They're both
Right, yeah.
Danish.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But other than that, why is there a crossover between these two stories?
Was that one an Andersen?
I think he had something to do with it.
Still though, like why make it a crossover? Why what does Blockhead Hans have to contribute to this narrative?
Just world building.
Yeah, I think it
Just fleshing it out.
Yeah.
I think it just puts us in a specific place and time. Like, this is just an anchor point for our gigantic, interconnected folktale. And also gives us a little bit of insight into their future. Blockhead Hans and...
Yeah, they vacate.
Yeah, they're off tormenting a foreign country, so now we have something to look for, which is, like, crazy-ass rulers speaking in code somewhere else.
Invading.
Which shouldn't be hard to find, because castles make people insane. So, yeah, we just have a little bit more information on the Blockhead Hans line. I think it's interesting that they have crows in a court position, especially since a dead crow featured heavily in their early courtship.
Right.
So
Is that why?
maybe they're honoring the position of the crow.
The crow's service
And their-
and getting
crow.
them hitched.
Right. Because it seems odd that they would have court positions available for crows, but they do.
Well, they're probably just figurehead positions. I don't imagine that they have much sway.
Right. But just that's in place and established.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was interesting.
The Ice Queen is a very bit player
Yeah,
in this story called The Ice Queen.
the Snow Queen.
The Snow Queen, rather.
She does not do much more than kidnap and kiss.
Yeah. Yeah, she's kind of out of it after that chapter.
Yeah, it's kind of a plot that, like, it almost runs itself. Like, there's not a whole lot of agency
Yeah.
with a lot of, like, she does get, what's his name? The kid,
Okay.
Kay, away from their village initially.
Yeah.
And then what? She kind of hangs around and talks to him. And then Greta goes looking for him, and everybody just kind of tells her what to do.
What do you think
Along the way.
she wanted from him?
Just to have a kid
But why?
present.
Because the kids are not... Like, I love teaching them, but I don't want to kidnap one or hang around one 24/7.
Well, you're not a Snow Queen.
It's true.
And she didn't hang around him 24/7. She kind of left him on his own.
Ransom?
From, like, the poorest people in town. And what do they have that a Snow Queen would want? Unless...
They know the Snow Bee.
So that mirror that she sits on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Mirror of Reason,
Mm-hmm.
which seems like a questionable name for a mirror. for a snow queen to sit on.
Yeah.
Think she's reassembling the demon's mirror.
And she needs the pieces in this kid.
It didn't mention that it was cracked.
It mentioned it was in several pieces.
Oh, I missed that part. I thought it was a solid mirror.
I think it's in pieces, but I think they've been put back together in such a way that they look intentional.
I imagine that the shards are a reason why he was kidnapped. Because that wasn't her doing. That happened before she was present.
Right. She showed up and she looked him in the eye before she kidnapped him, and before the shards happened too. Wonder if she marked him some way.
Also, before the shards, she appeared to be made of solid ice.
Right.
And after the shards, she looked normal.
Yeah, she looked like a really pretty, perfect human being.
Probably the shards doing.
Probably.
Why?
Well, they tend to amplify, bad.
Yeah, but they make bad worse.
They do.
Why'd they make her better?
Maybe they make good look ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And they make flaws amplified.
Yeah.
Maybe they seem to make flaws also be the thing that you're attracted to, it's what he focuses on. And maybe when there are so many flaws running so deep, it becomes attractive.
It inverts.
Yeah. I don't know. Otherwise, the mirror technology here is really inconsistent.
It does seem to be.
It doesn't surprise me.
Of course, she could be unaffected by the mirror entirely.
It's her mirror now.
Right.
Mostly. That makes it a much more interesting story, whether or not it's true.
Which means that we now have a being with a lot of ice powers who has control over this giant mirror and has 2 more pieces of the Infinity Stones.
The Chaos Emerald.
Yeah.
I think the producers of Frozen goofed up.
Yeah.
They cut the wrong parts.
They certainly did.
This
You
is
don't
a lot more
understand.
compelling.
You don't understand how happy I was when there was closure on Robber Girl. I was so worried that she was just going to be a non sequitur.
But now she's out in the world.
Doing her thing.
With pistols.
We know she's out there.
Dual wielding.
So now all we need to do is find her in another story.
Yeah.
I desperately need stories about her.
Come back to us, Robber Girl.
So we'll be looking for Robber Girl. I think we got a clear Project Birdfall line here, because we have a lot of birds specifically focused on helping Gerda out.
Yeah.
And we even have a mention of a bird flying in front of the window when Kay sees the Snow Queen, or something that looks like a bird, so it could be trying to break whatever influence she's putting on him.
And a bird that serves on the court at a castle, right?
Right.
And who knows what that means. Certainly that this bird is a trusted confidant. It's trusted by idiots, but still.
We got a bird and court power. We've got a lot of birds directly helping her out. Pigeons, crows,
Reindeer.
sparrows. We got a reindeer.
Flies.
No.
Quote unquote.
No. Just runs really fast.
Yeah. Flies.
His name's Bae. So one of the cool things about the blog series that we started is that we're actually getting some pretty neat insight and interaction from our listeners.
Yeah.
Double check.
we?
Yeah. Pretty sure this was Julia who commented. Double check on this real quick. Yeah, Julia commented on the Goose Girl.
Julia
blog.
what?
Should we share last names?
No, don't share last names.
Okay.
Just give her one.
Julia M commented on the Goose Girl. You can read that comment on our blog and also the blog. She was talking about how the most depressing part of that was how ineffective all the magic was.
Of the Goose Girl?
Yeah.
That's episode 3.
Yes.
So everybody go back and listen to that one.
Or just memorize it.
Like the protective
We did.
blood cloth doesn't actually help her. The
Yeah.
horse that speaks doesn't speak until after it's slaughtered and doesn't get her out of the position. Her
Yeah.
wind magic's not that strong, it just blows her hat around.
Yeah.
Like, there's not... So even if she's part of the Boney line, because she would be Boney's granddaughter,
Yeah.
if we keep the Master Maid as his daughter,
Yes.
the bloodline has been weakened. The magic has been weakened. And Julia pointed out that, she might be as ineffective a character, a protagonist as she is, not as a ruse, which was my supposition, because I really want Boney's line to just all be badasses, but because she's living in a world like an almost post-apocalyptic for the magic community world where magic is dying out.
Dark Sun.
Oh.
And so that
We like
made me
that.
think about some things, which I replied to Julia with, like, this could be our motivation for the war between birds and fairies, because fairy people and fairy-related folk are the ones with magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of
The
the time,
status quo.
that magic is not beneficial to mortals.
Certainly not. Quite the opposite.
It
It's
often
usually bad news for mortals.
Right, and often features bird shapeshifters, which I'm sure causes all kinds of issues in Birdland too, which would motivate them as a force to maybe fight.
Because they don't want to take the heat.
So we got birds maybe trying to kill magic in the world and bringing mortals in on this.
Or at least let it die naturally.
Right, like remove the influence of magic.
Because it's just bad.
Right, or at least to their perception, it's bad.
Yeah.
And so we have in this story a very clearly magical Snow Queen person
Yeah.
who is assembling a very bad magical mirror created
Yeah.
by a goblin.
A goblin demon headmaster.
Goblin demon headmaster.
Yeah.
I like him as he's also called a sprite. He's a goblin or a sprite. So
Right.
he's
He is very
he's
adjacent.
yeah.
Fairy
Very kin.
Yeah.
Maybe from Goblin Land where that monkey wanted to.
Maybe. So.
And we have a lot of birds mobilizing this girl against this force and bringing a lot of this together. So,
But they didn't destroy the mirror.
They-
These kids just left it there.
yeah,
Because they didn't know.
right. They weren't given all the information that they
'Cause no one
needed
told
to
them.
have. So,
Feels like we're more pawns in the bird war than
Yeah.
they're helping us in our war.
it's beginning to kind of shape up into humans being like unwitting.
Do we now think that it is a bird fairy war? That's the main division.
I mean, I have typically thus far been of the opinion that birds are guiding us like chess pieces.
Right, like
To what end, I did not know.
right. We weren't sure what the ultimate goal was.
But they definitely know more than we do.
They do, and they've been protecting kings and stuff from things like a sky horse
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and other fairy magic. They've come in with the intelligence of how to break spells. Like the girl who was turned into a flower, they were the ones who pushed the prince.
They've been instrumental in shaping nations
Right.
Yeah.
They've put
and the
people in
political
power.
structure
Like
thereof.
they have directed kings for their own devices.
So yeah, mortal kind is pawns of birds and fairies.
And
who are-
giants are
They're just
around.
They're
they're
third
I think
party.
giants and trolls are the team instinct
Caught
of
in
this
the
battle.
crossfire. They don't really want to be a part of it, but they live next door. And then Boney, okay, yeah. We have our major fairy players.
Yeah.
Our fairy,
And
the
the Snow Queen's probably another pretty big player.
possibly.
I mean, she seems to have a lot of power.
And then Boney, where exactly does Boney fit in though?
I think he's
Like-
definitely fairy side.
You think so?
He's got magic. He's got magic daughters with shape-shifting powers. They do not care about mortals. They kind of
But
play
he
around.
keeps matching his daughters up with them.
Well, yeah, he's
He wants more goose girls.
He's influencing mortal kingdoms, same as the
Sure.
birds. The birds are kind of like
Sure.
the birds can't have daughters that they can
I-
shove into a kingdom
I
directly.
feel like Boney's playing his own game.
He might be.
He's just got his own stuff going on.
I don't think he is necessarily
Boney-
a direct part of the fairy.
Boney
court.
is a wild card, is what he is.
Boney and his family.
What if the cherry
They're out of
man is
control.
bony?
What?
What if the cherry man is bony undercover?
That might be a bridge too far.
Maybe.
That doesn't.
We don't have enough information on
No,
Cherry
we
Man.
don't.
That doesn't feel right to me.
Okay.
I think Cherry Man is just.
Just cherry man.
He's just a product of the world. Nobody knows where he came from. He just is. He does his thing, and then he moves on to the next town. Yeah, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you should go back and listen to some old episodes or read the blog or something. Because there's all these stories are connected.
We may want to start just working that into the intro.
Yeah, we probably should at this point. Like, it is an ongoing project to unravel the mythos.
Also, part of us reading these stories is trying to link them into one story.
That's been kind of a recent development. I mean, Birdfall started it a little bit, but we weren't that serious.
We got wind that birds give a lot of advice, and then it went on from there.
And then Boney happened, and that just clinched our fate.
That was an iceberg that we hit pretty early on.
So
for this reason, I'm thinking I might open this up to include some Disney folktales, either as like a Patreon only thing, because Ursula Vernon did mention that there is a version of Beauty and the Beast out there that involves monkey butlers, and I feel like that's something we can't let slide.
How do they feel about goblins?
that is the unanswered question.
We've got a lot of mysteries
throughout this entire that is the what is Rosebud of this entire story arc.
Speaking of just weird sidebar mysteries, Grandma speaks Crow.
Grandma speaks Crow.
Grandma speaks Crow and has just spoken it casually.
I said we should come back to this.
Yeah.
So Grandma has on occasion patted her little granddaughter on the head and gone, "Caw!"
Oh, Grandma.
You know I didn't take that Rosetta Stone course.
What are you trying to teach me for the future?
She's a product of another time.
So if we find...
Grandma 1 speaks crow, Grandma 2 sees bees.
Grandma 2 might have just been speaking a metaphor, like quaint grandma metaphors.
Is that the only time that's happened, though?
Yeah, who knows. But one of them speaks fluent crow.
Mm-hmm.
So far we've only met one person who's definitely speaks bird, took the time to learn bird language, but she's a princess, so either something terrible happened after taking the throne, or this is a different character who has learned the language of the birds and then grown old.
Which princess?
The one who was turned into a flower. The one that I think sparked Birdfall.
What story was that?
That sparked Birdfall?
It was something about a flower. The title had something to do with a flower.
Wasn't the Pot of Pinks?
No, it wasn't the Pot of Pinks. This was the princess that was one of 3 princesses who'd been kidnapped by a witch lady and forced to spin gold. And then the prince got out of his royalty playpen, found her, and the witch lady turned her into a flower, and birds told him to get off his ass and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember this, but it's been a while.
That princess, this was the one where birds were constantly helping them, which is why Birdfall came from this.
Yeah.
Well,
that princess specifically learned how to speak bird. So either something horrible happened, and by her old age she's living in a garret, or there are many people out there who are in a secret society of bird speakers.
Could be. I don't know.
Well, I do think we have another major player to watch out for.
Robber Girl?
Oh, Robber Girl for sure.
I'll be on the lookout for Robber Girl.
But the Snow Queen as a major player in the overarching story.
If we don't see Robber Girl again, I feel compelled for the first time to actually write fan fiction. The Adventures of Robber Girl, where she meets Cherry Man.
We will
and goes on an adventure with him.
Boy, that'd be a good animated
That's a duo.
Show. That'd be a good animated show.
Man,
get on that.
Great. I love that she just rides around this horse with pistols on her hip.
Yeah.
She's such a badass.
We will definitely shoehorn her into a story. We will make it happen somehow.
So if any of you listeners happen to know stories that feature some kind of ice power fairy character, or a sweet-ass robber girl that you think could potentially be connected back to this one, we would love to hear it in the email suggestions.
I was going to suggest that our listeners Google knife tickling, and then I thought better of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a fetish of some sort.
I feel like that's going to do it for us this evening.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Probably.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so we're just going to keep an eye out for this. Disney missed some golden opportunities.
Certainly.
Luckily, they called it Frozen and not the Snow Queens. They still have an open door there, maybe on purpose.
I'm not sure about that.
Could happen.
Count up how many Frozen references I managed to sneak in here.
1.
Nope. Listeners, find all the Frozen references. Those who do get a prize, and the prize is... Yay! You did it.
You just gave it out for free, though.
Well, you don't get the feeling of success unless you complete the task.
Unless you actually earned it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening once again to this episode. If you enjoy these, please do share them around. These are going up on YouTube now, so you can listen to them on there if you like, and share them around on there, or tweet at us, or retweet us, or whatever you want to do. We always appreciate that. You can email us at wtfolklore@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Blogspot. There's links to a bunch of stuff in the show description. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors. We should link to that.
Yep. I'll be dropping a special extra bonus gift in there.
Just for Patreon people.
Yeah.
Only for you. Nobody else. Unless you become a Patreon person, then for you too.
Dangle that carrot.
Yeah, that's it. Right? We good?
I think so.
Yeah.
Done and done. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug. This has been What the Folklore. That's how it works.
Tra-la-di-di-hi-di-ho, hi-di-hi-di-hi-di-ho. Tra-la-di-di-hi-di-ho, happily ever after. Tra-la-di-di-hi-di-ho, hi-di-hi-di-hi-di-ho. Tra-la-di-di-hi-di-ho, she lived happily ever after.
This has been What the Folklore. Thanks for listening to our show. If you have any feedback for us, you can leave it either by Gmail or Facebook. Our Gmail account is wtfolklore@gmail.com, and our Facebook page can be found at facebook.com/WTfolklore. Feel free to send in stories if you have any particularly odd pieces of folklore or mythology that you would like to hear us talk about. Special thanks to the Brobdingnagian Bards for the use of their song Happily Ever After from their album Brobdingnagian Fairy Tales.